So Allah Azza wa Jal goes on and paints this scenery before us, which is kind of Meccan in nature. الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ فِرَاشًا, the one who placed it for your service. The word جَعَلَ الْإِمْتِنَانِ, Ja'ala with lam is used as a favor. Who furnished for you, the one who provided for you, who went out of his way to facilitate for you the earth as a firash. Firash actually means farashahu basatahu, something that's laid down, something that is soft, something that is easy to walk on. He didn't make the earth boiling hot. You know, there are other planets, their surface temperature is so hot that if you walk on it, even with whatever protective gear, the protective gear will melt. The earth is not so soft that you put your foot in it and your foot sinks inside. The earth is not so jagged that if you stepped on it, it would cut you and, pierce through your whatever clothes or shoes or whatever, protection you're wearing. Allah Azza wa Jal made this earth easy to tread, easy to sleep on. Firashan. And then the other meanings of it is لَمْ يَجْعَلْنَا حُزْنَةً أو حَزْنَةً غَلِيظَةً لَا يُمْكِنُ الْإِسْتِقْرَارُ عَلَيْهَا. He didn't make the earth such that you couldn't live on it. As a matter of fact, firash is the imagery of a bed. Back in the day, people didn't have high beds. They just rolled out a mat and slept. That's firash, actually. And the idea is the entire earth was made like your bedroom. You could just set up camp anywhere. And nobody appreciated that more than the desert Arabs, man. Because they'd be traveling and they didn't wait for like a Holiday Inn or a Sheraton or a Hilton. They're like, oh, time to sleep. Lay it out and fall asleep. جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ فِرَاشًا. And you lie down and you want to be in a hotel that's got high ceiling or nice lobby and وَالسَّمَاءَ بِنَاءً. And He made your ceiling, your roof, the construct above you, the sky. He made the entire world into a living space for you. This is actually the image for the Bedouin, that's furthered for all of us, that the entire earth is like a home. More than a home, it's like a bedroom. It's like a place for you to rest. وَالسَّمَاءَ بِنَاءً. And then moreover, not only is this a place for you to get rest, the two comforts in human life are sleep and food. The two major comforts. So the first image is that of the comfort of sleep. فِرَاشًا وَبِنَاءً. Okay? The second image, when you go further, is وَأَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً. And He sent water down from the sky. فَأَخْرَجَ بِهِ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ. And He brought out by means of that water all kinds of fruit. Notice He didn't say habban here. He didn't bring out grass. He didn't bring out abban. He didn't bring out grains and crop. He mentioned what exactly? Fruit. The sweetest of what you can eat from the earth. The tastiest of what you can eat on the earth. The most beautiful of what you can eat on the earth. The colors of fruits, the wrappings of fruits, the tastes of fruits, the shapes of fruits, the smells of fruits, the beauty of fruits, And so Allah Azza wa Jalla is reminding the human being how comfortable I've made your living for you, that you can rest on this earth, and how beautiful the sustenance I've provided for you. When I used to teach Surah Al-Rahman repeatedly back in the day, I used to talk about how, there's a friend of mine who was hospitalized because he had stomach problems. For 6 months, he couldn't eat solid food. So they had to put a drip in him for 2 months, and finally he was able to drink liquids. So they would take proteins, carbs, whatever essential food he needs, a nasty, nasty shake. And that was breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a few months. Until he could handle actually eating solid food, And one day I went to visit him and he said, you want to try some? I was like, yeah. So I had a sip. I was like, is this for an oil change or a human being? Like, how do you... But the guy who's having this all day, is he surviving? He is. It tastes disgusting. I mean, it makes you want to croak, but he's surviving, right? In other words, Allah didn't have to make food delicious for us to survive. Allah didn't have to make food look good for us to survive. Our food could have looked like cockroaches for all we care. So long as it's got the right ingredients, we'll eat it. And animals don't, they don't need a nice plate and fork and knife on the side and ketchup, and they just eat off the ground. Allah Azza wa Jalla gave us these incredible wrappings of food, and He put them on these beautiful trees. Even the image of a tree with fruit on it, it's such a beautiful image. Palm trees. Everybody thinks of palm trees, they're like, California, wow. Expensive vacation. Dates could have been, they didn't have to grow on palm trees. They could be like this hideous thing. But subhanAllah, every gift, every fruit with its own wrapping, its own texture, its own nature, And Allah Azza wa Jalla did all of this for you. فَأَخْرَجَ بِهِ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ رِزْقًا لَكُمْ, as provision for you. In other words, He didn't just give you the bare minimum in this world. The point I'm making is, He didn't just give you the bare minimum. He went out of His way to provide you beauty, to provide you taste, to provide you joy. فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا. Then don't put competitors. Don't furnish competitors for Allah. Don't put in place andad. Nid, actually they say, there are several meanings, but the meaning associated with this is al-mathal wal-nadhir, wal-shibh, wal-did. They say that nid is someone who's equivalent to somebody, an alternative to somebody, or a competitor to somebody. Actually, tandid in Arabic means raf'u sawt, to raise your voice against somebody. Naddahu bishad actually means to expose somebody's flaws. The meaning here is not just don't put competitors with Allah. Don't put anything with Allah that raises a voice before Allah, that challenges God. Don't live your life in opposition to Him. Don't put things in your life that challenge Him, لا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. And you're the ones that well know. You are so knowledgeable that you are doing this yourselves. Now this idea of nid, it will come later on. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ. So the first kinds of andad that people set, competitors that people set with God, with Allah, are things they love. Sometimes money becomes a competitor to Allah. Sometimes greed becomes a competitor to Allah. Sometimes lust becomes a competitor to Allah. Sometimes your love of fame becomes a competitor to Allah. A love of self-worth becomes your pride can become a competitor to Allah. Sometimes your family can become a competitor to Allah when you're willing to disobey Allah and obey your family. They can become a competitor to Allah, And so these competitors that live inside of our heart, Allah is calling upon those by first telling you, look at the fruits I've given you. Look at the food I've given you. Look at the sustenance I've given you. And now think why you shouldn't have competitors before Allah. وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And you well know. And this ilm is not ilm al-wahi. Ilm sometimes is knowledge of revelation, knowledge of previous scripture, knowledge of language, knowledge of ahkam. But in this ayah, it's knowledge of what God has done for you. And how little you acknowledge it. You know it. Look deep down inside you. You already know what Allah has done for you. And so now after this istidlal, it's called istidlal in Arabic, to make you think of the proofs of why you should turn towards Allah, who didn't just make you, He made you with so much love as a Rabb. That's why you should turn to Allah. Then He talks about His revelation.